I need a bank that is convenient for me.
What do you mean?
I need a bank that has easy-to-find locations and plenty ATMs when I need cash on the go.
Oh, well, that's easy. You need to bank with Cayman National. They have 7 customer service centers and 23 ATM locations. The newest one is at the East End Post Office, and I hear there's more to come.
Well, sounds like I need to bank with Cayman National Bank, the convenient bank, because they seem to be everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. Cayman National is everywhere. Surely they are Cayman's convenient bank.
Cayman National Bank. We're here for you.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
I've got that old feeling that seems to fill the air. It's Christmas in my Caribbean land. And although there's no snow or sleigh bells to be heard, this feeling's oh so grand. Now soon the bells will be ringing, choir singing in good cheer, and old forgotten friends are brought to mind. Oh, tell me I'm a feeling, why can't this Christmas feeling exist among all people through the year? I can wake up real early, bake me jug and me turkey. It's Christmas in my Caribbean land. I can drink up me sherry, I can drink and be merry. This feeling's oh so grand. I can invite me neighbors to stop by for a little, and old forgotten friends are brought to mind. Oh, tell me I'm a feeling, why can't this Christmas feeling exist among all people through the year?
Oh, tell me, why can't this Christmas feeling exist among all people through the years? Tell me.
Well, tell me why, Mr. Loxley. Hey, good afternoon and welcome to a special edition of CI Retro and Talk Today. And Cayman's Christmas remembering, the last 150 years, Mr. Loxley?
Well, yeah, we're going to dip back that far. Show some of the narrative that's coming up.
To all of our wonderful listeners out there, we certainly want to invite you to be a part of our discussion, share your fond Christmas memories, maybe something your great grandmother may have told you. So we'll have a chance for our guests and listeners to join us momentarily.
Well, not momentarily.
Later on.
We got
soon
a
come.
narrative to go before we get to the listeners.
A Reckling then? Should I say a Reckling?
A Reckling.
Tomorrow Reckling. All right, Mr. Loxley Banks, as usual, able to producing and joining us, either Dr. Curtis Barnett. Now, Mr. Loxley, I was almost, mindful. I was out and about and I said I should pick up the phone to give you a call, because it's part of the thought process now, not to throw you off too much. Here I am in the studio, there I am in the parking lot, there I am down the road and running around, right? And I recognize that there are preparations for Christmas, even though it's a lot of festivities. Timeliness was always a key component of everything had an element to it.
Timeliness, especially in live radio and television. If you can't be on time, then everything don't follow the script like
my mother used to say, like I suppose my father and others as well. Time and tide. Wait for no man.
Yes.
Yeah, we've sort of changed that recently. The show must go on, but that idea of time and tide. So
however, in those olden times that he wants to talk about, perhaps the people didn't feel quite as pressured.
Yeah, the clock ticked, but it didn't. It didn't wait for no one. But
they
didn't wait for anyone.
They didn't have all the impingements that I think we experience today. And though they had some very serious impingements, but they managed it, and probably a lot better than we are managing modern day.
We got more conveniences with less time.
Yeah.
Larger houses, but less home.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you ever hear of Safey? Safey the sailor? Cypher?
Oh, yes.
Recipe?
Yes. Too late now, Mama.
Stick needle fast. Send it by the Rembrandt.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think we got to move along. We're expecting some other guests who should be able to kind of ease in here before long, and we'll tell you who they are when they get here. This program, of course, is being brought to you by some very fine sponsors. Four Winds Esso in West Bay, serving the Cayman Islands community and the West Bay community for a long, long time. And also by FSH Design Center. And there's some folks that you should learn more about. And also by Cayman Enterprise City. Cayman Enterprise City is pioneering a new type of special economic zone in the Cayman Islands focused on technology and innovation. And I think we'll go right now because time, again, we spoke of time at the beginning, and you see that clock up there. If you're not in tune with that, then you're lost. I think now we would go to that first segment, Joel, if you can...
Since the birth of Christ, the Christian religion has observed that very special event in different ways throughout the many countries of the world, the Cayman Islands being no exception. The religious importance of Christmas is timeless and, of course, should be changeless. But has there not, in fact, been a reversal of attitudes towards the most important aspect of Christmas?
$2.10. $25.
What does Christmas mean to you?
Christmas means being with my family and friends and just having a good time, drinking lots of champagne.
And what do you hope to get for this Christmas from Santa Claus?
Oh, I'd love to get a nice 450 SL Mercedes-Benz, which I don't think I'll get, but I'd love to get that.
And what does Christmas mean to you?
Christmas means to me having a good time and being with my family.
And what would you like Santa Claus to bring you?
I'd like to have a nice bracelet and a bunch of nice stuff, doesn't really matter.
Gold?
Yes, of course.
And what does Christmas mean to you?
A lot of excitement and fun and a lot of good times.
And what do you hope Santa will bring you?
Possible a TV set, a colored one, I hope.
What does Christmas mean to you?
Well, it means I'll get a couple of days off from work and enjoy myself like everybody else does.
And what are you hoping, what kind of present are you expecting for Christmas?
Well, hopefully I'll be getting a new car.
What does Christmas mean to you?
Spending a lot of money, having a good time.
And what would you like Santa Claus to bring you?
A trip around the world.
What does Christmas mean to you?
Having a good time, going to parties and enjoying myself, meeting other people.
And what would you like Santa Claus to bring you for Christmas?
A 1980s Toyota Corolla.
What does Christmas mean to you?
Christmas means getting together with old friends and having a good time, and hard work.
And what do you hope to get from Santa Claus?
Well, I don't really hope to get it this year, but one day I hope to have a Mercedes Sport.
What does Christmas mean to you?
Christmas to me means celebrating the birth of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and it's sort of like communion, just rejoicing in his birth.
And what do you hope Santa Claus will bring you for Christmas?
Maybe a nice cross and a gold chain.
The voices you've just heard are representative of today's young people and their views on the meaning of Christmas.
Mr. Loxley,
Okay, all those sitting around the table, and we've had one of the guests that we were expecting to join us, Grayson DeCosta, head boy at the Prospect Primary School. And when we were putting this program together, we wanted to get some young folks in here. And Grayson, welcome.
Thank you.
How old are you?
10.
10. Are you looking forward to Christmas?
Yes, sir, a lot.
There we go, as everybody did.
Is it taking a long time to come?
A little bit.
And also, Jamo has joined us here. Jamo, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
And
it'd be interesting, Mr. Locksley, as Wilson fixed that feedback. Mr. DeCosta, or I should say Master DeCosta, recognizes that Christmas is taking a long time. I bet you if you ask Jamo, how long is Christmas?
It come too
quickly. A perspective of age, Dr. Barnett. As you look back on Christmas to an extent, the recollections that we have, and in 50 years, Mr. DeCosta talking to Jumbo, it was seem like today and yesterday was one and the same.
Right, you've noticed that. That the older you become, the faster time seems to fly. Because when we were boys, like this 10-year-old Grayson.
Yeah.
We used to feel the same way. And Christmas was taking such a long time to come. But now, it's like, from then till now, pretty fast.
Okay.
I think that radio's on there.
Right. So, Mr. Loxley, the beauty of it, and then this is an opportunity for us to celebrate Christmas, and Mr. Dr. Banks, we'll get it right, man. We'll get there.
We will, yeah.
We will, sir. We will.
All right, well, CI Christmas Remembered. And that last segment that we heard here, that was done about 43 years ago.
Wow.
Now, some of the folks that you heard on that, they were in their 70s and 80s then. So you can, do your deduction there, your arithmetic, and see where they were coming from.
Let's say 100 years.
At that time. Well,
120?
From the time that they were born. 120.
Yes. So, but I think probably what we'll find out as we move along in the program, that one of the main aspects of celebrating Christmas back in those days was the religious aspect. And we were hoping to have a man of the cloth here with us.
He's here.
He's here.
And I can vacate my seat to give it to him.
Okay, all right. Well, we're going to get him in here right in a little bit here. But the religious aspect was one of the main elements of that Christmas celebration, even though after church they went dancing. So, and
didn't David dance before the Lord?
Well, there you go.
Not everyone, we should say. Not everyone.
Well,
no.
There were certain, let's say,
congregations
of the church.
Yeah.
The church.
I know.
And for example, the reverend that you will have coming in a little bit later, I think the denomination in which he is, the denomination in which I grew up, for example, and several others, there was no dancing.
No dancing thing.
No.
That's right.
No.
You can move your toe a little bit, though.
And actually, my mother, who was a great singer, and I understand a great dancer, I never saw her dance.
Right.
But she became a believer from the time she was in her teens, in her, I guess, early mid-teens, around there. But she had already experienced what those dances were, what those kitchen dances and so on were. She was an enormous. I remember her singing, for example, Cayman Land. Such a beautiful voice. Such a beautiful voice. But she came to understand and feel and believe that that was not the life for her, and she made a radical change when she gave Jesus her life.
There you go.
And that was the case with many Caymanians. There was a radical change. Yeah.
Well, we got to move along.
Yeah, I think a lot of your intergenerational panelists is here, so I'll be skipping on because I have staff luncheon.
Okay, well,
I'll leave you in the capable hands of Jason, the head boy of Prospect Primary School.
You're coming back to get him.
No, his folks are getting him.
Okay. Thank you, Jamo. All right. Thanks for all your help.
Kubo Restaurant.
A lot of these things, and we got to move right along, and we got some commercials coming up for you. But what we want to do is remind you that this CI Retro Talk Today special presentation on Cayman Islands Christmas Remembered is being brought to you by Cayman Enterprise City. Cayman Enterprise City is pioneering a new type of special economic zone in the Cayman Islands, focused on technology and innovation, and also being brought to you by FSH Designs and by Four Winds Esso. And now to some commercials.
Kubo Restaurant and Lounge. Cayman's only Pan-Asian restaurant and lounge is now open for lunch.
Taste the traditional flavors of Asian cuisine fused with your modern flair in Kubo's new sushi menu. With lunch delivery from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. Monday through Friday, you can bring the Asian fusion flavors of Kubo and your sushi platter to your office today. Kubo Restaurant and Lounge is located in the Strand next to the eatery and below Lily's nightclub.
Now open for lunch. That's right, now open for lunch with a new sushi menu and delivery. Visit kubo.ky. That's KUBOH.KY or call 947-4513 to place your order. I am worried about my employees' health insurance. Are there any companies out there that I can rely on for great coverage, affordable payments, and who will work to make the switch as easy as possible? Or am I asking for too much?
You sound like you need Fidelity Health. At Fidelity, they offer great coverage through a highly rated and trusted carrier, payments I can afford, and with no on-island deductible on all the plans they offer. Best of all, they offered my company 50% back on the first month's premium.
This is too important. Today's the day I'm switching to Fidelity Health.
Make the easy switch to Fidelity today and get 50% cash back on your first month's premium until December 31st. Call 949-7822 to make your switch now.
Trot on down to A.L. Thompson's Appliance Gallery to get a free turkey. Simply purchase a Whirlpool major home appliance for at least $500, and as a thank you, A.L. Thompson's and Whirlpool will give you a turkey as the star of your complete holiday meal. It's a deal worth gobbling up while supplies last at A.L. Thompson's, Georgetown.
Roro Variety Store is having a huge blowout sale on Saturday, December 15. Where? Outside the store, of course. Lots of bargains will be on sale, including 1, 2, and 3 burner indoor-outdoor camping gas stoves, plus 4 burner ones with built-in ovens. Join the early birds on Saturday, December 15th from 6 a.m. and enjoy great savings. 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. Roro Variety Store, Tropical Plaza on Smith Road. Telephone 321-0130. Merry Christmas from the management and staff of Roro Variety Store.
It's more than what we do. It's who we are. We were your official bank of the quincentennial celebrations in 2003. We were your Bank of the Year 4 times. We were voted as the inaugural top employer in 2010. We were the inaugural Business of the Year awardee in 2017. Who are we? We are Cayman National, your local bank, proudly serving you for over 40 years. It's because of you that our journey continues.
Paramount Carpet Cayman Brack pre-Christmas blowout sale is back for 2 days only. Friday, December 14th and Saturday, December 15th. Save big with up to 75% off a selection of tiles and carpets. Wall and floor tiles as low as $10 per box. Universal mats from as low as $5 a pair. And up to 15% off many more items. Paramount Carpet Cayman Brack pre-Christmas blowout sale. Friday, December 14th, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. And Saturday, December 15th, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Followed by the Children's Christmas Party at Spot Bay Park, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Paramount Carpet, Cayman Brack, located 3436 Spot Bay Road. Call 948-2665.
We do a whole lot more than just cover your floor at Paramount Carpet.
Going back to the Brack again.
Look, I can't afford to miss this one. The Spot Bay Committee presents the 2nd annual Spot Bay Christmas Homecoming, December 15th through the 25th.
It's a place called Christmas Island.
Featuring 3 days of traditional Cayman Brack Christmas festivities, including live music by district musicians, home decorating contest, children's party, homecoming party, carol service, seniors gift distribution, singspiration, old-time kitchen dance, and fireworks to close off the year. For more information on dates and locations, call 925-3250. The Spot Bay Christmas Homecoming, December 15th through the 25th. It's time to come on home to the Brack again.
Going back to the Brack again.
To facilitate late-night shoppers, the linen and electrical departments and the bathroom palace at International Lighting, Ed's Plaza, North Songway, will open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday until December 15th and open late until 10 p.m. through December 24th. Spend $25 in-store and drop your name in the box because 3 Cayman Airways tickets to any of Carl's destination are up for grabs. Drawing will take place on December 21st. International Lighting, Ed's Plaza, North Songway. Telephone 949-5141. You can also check them out on Fridays and Saturdays from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the entrance of the Buntown Church of God Chapel for loads of discounted items. Merry Christmas from International Lighting.
All right, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Loxley Banks. I really appreciate the incredible effort. Unfortunately, I think the people who can't see behind the scenes don't always appreciate not just the countless hours, but they put us through. So thank you, sir, for being a part of it.
A lot goes on in live radio and live television, and I don't know if you've ever seen the movie. What was the movie called? Can't think of it now, but it was all about live radio and live television. But anyway, talk is moving, and we're moving too. Cayman Islands CI Retro Talk today, Christmas Remembered. And to you folks listening, we'll be looking to hear from you later in the program. We'll let you know when we're going to open the telephones for you. We move on in this segment. You'll hear about traditional special Christmas foods, wearing apparel, sanyards, family relations, Christmas worship, Christmas joy, friendships, and the meaning of Christmas, food preparations, Santa's gifts, cannon rackets and fire rackets, and Christmas commerce. But before we get the insert, we have 2 more guests that have joined us here in the studio. Anika Connolly, former Miss Cayman Islands. Welcome, Anika.
Thank you, Mr. Loxley. Always a pleasure to be here at Radio Cayman, and always a pleasure to speak with you, and just thank you for having me.
Well, I'm glad you could make it. And, of course, we have Reverend Stan McMiles. Stan, welcome. I guess you got buried in that West Bay traffic, huh?
Well, yes, that happens a lot. But thanks so much for having me. Good to be amongst friends. And I made a new friend here today.
Okay, well, we're going to move on now to that segment. It's quite lengthy, so we can just take our earphones off and we'll listen through the rest of the technology we have in here. So as well, can we have the insert?
At this point, let's go back into time with some Caymanians whose memory spans several generations as they tell of their Christmases remembered. Those you will be hearing during this program are Dr. Roy McTaggart, Mrs. Vida Marin Bodden, Mr. Ernest Panton, Miss Annie Hulda Bodden, Mrs. Nana Connolly, Mrs. Nettie McCoy, Miss Genevieve Bodden, Mr. Harrington Green, Reverend Ruth Bowman, Mr. William Wood, and Mrs. Ina Watler. Mrs. Watler, when I look around me today and see the youngsters with their big cars and everything they need, very affluent, lots of money to spend, but completely different attitudes. At Christmas time, what was it like in your young days?
In my young days, at Christmas time, we had things very simple, not like today. Of course, don't get me wrong, I'm pleased to know that people in these days are much better off financially than we were. But then I'd like to know that the people who are better off financially regarded it in a proper way and be wise in the way they spend their money and have things for Christmas. We didn't have a lot of things for Christmas like these children have these days. If we had a sixpence perhaps to spend, we thought we had money.
Dr. Roy McTaggart.
I think a lot of it was just
celebrating, just enjoying themselves, seeing one another and having chat with one another and all that sort of stuff. It was one evening or one day in the whole year, plus Christmas Day, that the people really got very friendly with one another.
Mrs. Connolly, Christmas in the Cayman Islands today is celebrated in quite a different way from what it was in your young days. People have a lot more today. Plenty of money to spend, a lot to choose from. But do you think they're having any more fun?
No, I don't think they had any more fun we had nowadays. We had a lot of fun in Christmas. See, that was the greatest fun. But go all around till the morning singing carols with old people, dancing, waiting for Christmas Day to dawn. All around were happy. He that didn't have food, the next one would give him all he want. That I believe they had good time.
Miss Genevieve Budden.
I'm pretty sure they don't have the fun we had, because now you can get firecrackers year round, whereas we only saw firecrackers at Christmas time. A balloon was a novelty. When Mr. Franklin got in a little shipment and you heard he had balloons, I think they cost a penny halfpenny each, and my mother would give me a sixpence to go and get 4 balloons. That was the height of happiness.
Reverend Ruth Bowman.
In the last years, there's so much commercialization, but in those days, it was a time of worship and a time of wishing one another a Merry Christmas, a blessed and a Happy New Year.
Mrs. Vida Marin Budden.
I recall that we were a very friendly, happy population.
Well, Mrs. Budden, today, everything we have here, we have it in abundance, but material possessions, to me, does not necessarily mean happiness, and I wonder about this. What's your opinion?
Doreen, you're perfectly right. I think the more money or the more equity or whatever we may refer to it as a person has, the more worries they have. However, I would say that in those days we were a real happy-go-lucky population.
Mr. Ernest Penton.
In my younger days, I think there was a good deal more that, in a simple way, the children enjoyed than they do today.
Mm-hmm. It had more value in a sense.
It had more value in a sense.
Miss Annie Hulda Budden.
Christmas has become commercialized, and in a lot of cards we see a Merry Xmas, where the X means Christ out of it, just a must into it. And in those days, Christmas was really a reality, the festival of Christ's birthday. But now, Christmas has become too commercialized in every way, shape, and form.
Mr. William Wood.
People were poor those days, but there was a lot of Christianity, morality, humanity, and everything combined. Not only Christmas alone, but any time of the year, you go to one another's home and it was something for you to eat. Could sleep if you wanted.
Mr. Harrington Green.
I know we used to have a lot of fun and get along good. Everybody was happy. You go from one home to the other, and wherever you go, you was home. As happy as you could be.
What do you think of Christmas today compared to those days?
Nothing compared with those days.
Mrs. Nettie McCoy.
Well, darling, Christmas 40 years ago, or 50 if you want to put it that way, to me was as it is today. It meant Christ in Christmas. And when you take Christ out of Christmas, you don't have any Christmas at all.
And do you think a little bit of the Christ has gone out of Christmas today?
Yes, I think a lot of Christ has gone out of Christmas today. Today Christmas is merely a celebration of a good time.
Mr. Willie Wood, you're regarded as a historian of these islands. Would you mind recalling for me some of the things that happened, the preparations for Christmas in your day?
I can remember quite 40, 50 perhaps years ago, because I'm now 76. And in regards to preparation for the Christmas, well, the moment one Christmas was over, preparation started then for the following one, especially with vegetables and fruits of all description, because the best had to be gathered at that time. So were the pigs, cows. They did eat meats, that is, beef and pork, during the year, but not half as much as they did in the Christmas, because there was plenty of other meats. It was all kinds of fish, seafoods, which I believe up till now is still better than so much beef and pork. And then the lamb crabs, which is a luxury, and still is, in fact. And, as I said, they had special food provided, cakes, heavy cakes, pot cakes, and the houses and yards, of course, was brought up to a higher standard. All walls were whitewashed. White sand was brought and placed in certain positions and little piles all around the house. Everything was provided for that gala week. Sometimes it lasted more than a week.
In my days, when I was young, first thing we began in November. All the children, not the old folks, we all go on the beach and we back all the sand, and everybody's yard is clean off, white and pretty with white sand. Everybody's yard was white and clean. And then all the men got all their houses, and most of them were thatched, but it was all whitewashed, just as white as the snow and clean as a penny. No dirty house for Christmas. Everybody's house by December was white and clean, and the yard white as the house.
So it was almost like a white Christmas up north.
That is right, white Christmas without any snow.
That was the best part of it.
Yeah, white Christmas without any snow.
Oh, yes, we did. We cleaned all our yards, especially, and brought sand from the beaches, like I believe they still do at West Bay. I know we did it at South Sound, Upper South Sound, where we lived. Our yards were spotlessly clean. The floors were all scrubbed. In those days, we knew nothing about polish. We had beautiful scrubbed floors. The windows were all polished, and everything was bright and shining for Christmas. Very surely the house was given a new coat of paint for Christmas time.
I often wonder the idea of putting white sand in the yards, how that began, because we could say we've been having white Christmas here for a long time without the snow or without the cold.
Well, I think it was a matter that people wanted their yards to look real clean, and then I feel too that salt sand was a good thing hygienically, because I think the sand from the sea cleared all the perhaps little germs that might have been there, covered them all up and destroyed them, and then the sun shone and it was bright and glimmering, and then everything seemed so fresh and clean.
That was something I hadn't thought of.
But we used to bag a lot of sand, put it around the yards, get the yard good and white, clean for Christmas. Then we used to go into the woods and get wood, big piles of wood, there was no electrical affair them days. We used to have nothing but the caboose to do our cooking, and we used to get a lot of buttonwood and candlewood and have everything fixed all right for Christmas. When Christmas come, we was ready to go.
It certainly was very different. From round about September, we as children began to bring sand to our yards to have it ready for Christmas. Then we tried to get our houses cleaned up properly, painted if possible, and new curtains, new bedspreads, new everything for Christmas. And in addition, for ourselves, we tried to get some money to get some new dresses, because we only had new clothes at Easter and Christmas, and it was most fascinating waiting to get these new clothes.
Well, when Christmas was coming, we didn't wait till Christmas to make preparations, because from a few months before Christmas,
everything started to get underway.
Everything started to get underway, and we were busy backing white sand, putting in our yards and cleaning all of the yards. All the bush and all the trees were trimmed to look beautiful, and the yard was sand off white.
That was usually done at night by the moonlight.
Yes, and we backed it in baskets on our backs, and we put it in small piles, and then on Christmas Eve we spread the sand out smoothly, and we swept it off with a rosemary bloom.
Reverend Bowman, you've lived in the Cayman Islands for about 30 years or so now.
Yes, sir.
You will remember back to what it was like when you came, especially at Christmas time. Would you recall for me what it was like then?
Well, we used to have wonderful Christmas programs, and how the people used to back the sand. They had the most beautiful yards. People would do whitewashing of their homes. Many got new linoleums, and they got little pine trees, and would decorate up a little and they just had wonderful times.
Well, when it actually came to Christmas, a few weeks before Christmas, what we got a lot of fun out of doing was going down to the beach in front of the old courthouse, the registrar's office, where that little beach is, with baskets or small baskets, fill them up with sand, take them and unload the basket of sand, go back and get 3 or 4 others, and then have a lot of fun and play on the beach for a little while and go back and do that until we had our yard fairly covered. And there the yards were with these little piles of sand until Christmas Eve. Then they were all spread, and the yard looked lovely and clean and white. By that time the sand had dried out and it was white and pretty. Now I understand that after I grew older, that one reason why that custom, how that came about, was that there was a minister from the Scottish Church, the Presbyterian Church, who was stationed, I believe, in West Bay. And when it came around to Christmas, he wondered what would be the best thing to remind him of the snow, which he knew he would miss so much, being so far away from Scotland. And so he thought of getting a number of the boys and girls together and getting sand and taking it up to his yard and doing just the same as we did, putting it in little piles, and he had it spread on Christmas Eve.
Well, Mr. Ernest, you know, I have been trying to get to the bottom of this white sand, the white yard thing from everybody, and you're the first person that's been able to explain to me how it all started.
Well, at this time of year, the yards would have already been white. I guess they would have been spreading the sand now. That was the biggest part of Christmas, you know, to get the sand from the beach in those straw baskets, and then it was spread. Well, then they were bringing, the men of the house were bringing in their yam, potato, cassava, getting ready for their heavy cakes, and to also stew that bread, kind they called it, to go with the beef, because the cow would be killed on the night before Christmas Eve. Then I remember my father going out before daylight and to get the beef, and the smell of the steak before daylight, I can't forget it. I have never tasted steak since, although I have been practically around the world. I have never tasted steak in any country like the steak that you ate at daylight on Christmas Eve morning.
Pot cakes, light cakes, and meats. That was galore. That was baked up. Those days there was no refrigeration. Therefore, all overplus that couldn't be cooked fresh and kept was salted, which was very good.
Somebody told me that you could bake the beef and it would keep for a week without spoiling.
That's quite true. Of course, you must get all the water out of it, and there must be a lot of fat, which gave the oil, and that could stay overnight without heating. In other words, they found beyond a doubt that cooking the pork and beef together, the gravy, we'll call it, didn't harden as much as if the beef was cooked by itself.
Well, at Christmas Eve, everybody more or less would have at least 10 pounds of fresh beef and 3 or 4 pounds of pork, which was baked together, and that was kept without refrigeration and lasted a whole week. Each morning, the housewife would get up and take a bit of that meat, warm it all over, cook breadfruit in those days, rice and beans to go along with it, and that meat kept perfectly good until New Year's Eve. Without any refrigeration, there was no ice, and all we had during that time was this meat which had been prepared for a week.
Now today, just about everybody in the islands have turkeys, they have hams, they have anything you can name. Do you think there's any more joy in having this than the simpler things that you had in your day?
Not as much joy, because practical every day now is Christmas. People get all they want to eat, all the necessities, all the fineries, and nobody appreciates having to wait on anything.
You know, in those days was lots of food grown. But all the men that had food, they go on the plantation that had boats and boats of food. Now all of that food, they will have enough food. It lasts about a week or 2 weeks that they didn't go back in the plantation. And the firewood the same. They will have enough firewood to last for about a month cotton, about a cotton wood. Because in those days was no stove, was nothing but cooking with firewood in what you call a fireside or a caboose.
Right, and the food tasted better, I'll bet.
That's right, the cooking iron pots.
And that smoke from the wood gave it a special flavor.
Yes, so when Christmas comes, most of them all raise cows with no shortage of food. They all had plenty of food, and I know my mother every Christmas, you can depend that 40 pounds of beef baked on those old firewood.
40 pounds?
40 pounds in a good big old iron oven. And that, now we ain't gonna bake no more meat for Christmas. Now, it's too little Christmas Eve, but when Christmas Day comes, that 40 pounds of beef is open. We're gonna eat baked beef now.
For the whole season?
For the whole week. We keep Christmas one whole week, not one day.
I guess when people butchered cattle, the rest of it was salted or corned, what we know as corned beef.
Yeah, they had the baron, the corn of all that beef, pretty corned beef. That meat could last them for months, then corn, eat it as they want to eat it.
Better than what you import today?
Yeah, and a month better. Good, nice corned beef.
What were some of the other foods that were common at Christmas time in those days?
Well, we used to have a lot of yam cakes, cassava. Well, at that time wasn't so much breadfruit, but we have a lot of ground provisions such as plantains, sweet potatoes, and all them things go along with the beef, pork.
Lots of roast plantain in the ashes. I wish I had one now. You know, we didn't have turkey in those days.
Right.
No turkey.
I guess turkeys were very uncommon in those days.
Turkey was something we read about in a book. And there was a neighbor who had 2 turkeys, but nobody ever tried to get him.
No live cake neither, because it wasn't any white sugar.
Things have changed a lot.
We didn't know about real fruit cakes in those very far off days. What we used to make was sweet puddings and real big heavy cakes, jam, cassava, sweet potato, cocoa, corn, everything like a heavy cake. And then they were all done in those big ovens, those big heavy iron ovens. A hole was dug in the ground, a fire was made, and they were put there and cooked overnight. And the beef was all baked in those ovens too. And we would have that lasting for a whole week. We didn't ever have a fridge. We just put that beef, stuffed it nicely and baked it and took it out the oven and put it inside the kitchen. And anytime we wanted a slice of beef, we ate it. And we never even thought about having any spoiled meat.
I wonder if that's due to the fact that of the way it was cooked over the wooden fire that helped to smoke it and cure it.
Well, that had a lot to do with it, but you must remember that in those days we had no frozen meat. We had all fresh meats, and that makes a lot of difference. The frozen meat, I'm sure, would never think about keeping as long after it was cooked as the fresh meat did in those days. So we just cooked it all up as much as we wanted. Oh, families after families cooked it, and you ate at my house and I ate at your house.
Mm-hmm. Do you today prefer the fresh meat still to the frozen?
Definitely, it's so much better, I think so. We always buy fresh meat whenever we can get it down at the market.
Miss Annie told me that breadfruits were a big part of the diet in those days, too.
Yes, and they still are. Breadfruits, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the best foods you can eat. I tell you, breadfruits, I think, had a lot of energy in them. I know from experience. I eat a lot of breadfruit. I think breadfruit is superior to Irish potato, as far as I'm concerned. And you can make it in chips. You can have it in salad. You can roast it. You can boil it. You can cook it anyhow. You can put it on top of your turtle or your beef when you're cooking that and steam it, and it's delicious.
Now, another thing I remember was our looking forward to Santa Claus. We didn't have, as in these days, all the beautiful lights that you see on the streets and so on. But we used to ask our mothers to give us one of our black stockings. For some reason it had to be a black stocking, and the bigger the better, because we thought we might get plenty from Santa Claus, and so we tie the stocking onto the bed head, our mother's bed head, and go to sleep the night before Christmas and expect Santa during the night. The next morning, after we had got awake once or twice and went and felt if there was anything in the stocking, there was always great excitement to get awake in the morning. And there we would, first of all, feel, and if it felt fat and good, we felt happy. And we would take out a pack of sparklers, a pack of fire rackets, a pack of chewing gum, an apple, an orange,
marbles.
Oh yes, always a pack of marbles, and you were lucky if you got a small penknife. Sometimes that would happen. And one time I remember getting a drum. Oh no, I was so happy. I said to myself, after I grew up, I felt like a drum major in any band.
And these were the types of Christmas toys, I guess, apart from the little dolls and things like that people had.
Yes, there were no electric trains, there were no big things, no radio to give the young lady or no record player to give the young man, you know. There were just the simple things, firecrackers, Roman candles. If you got a cannon racket, that was a big thing. And if you got a few balloons and a few candies and a new dress or two.
And we were quite happy. Each one of the girls would get a doll, a different color head so that we'd know the difference, and we'd have some candy and one pack of fire rackets, perhaps a piece, and a new dress, of course, and new shoes and a new hat, which were especially to go to church on Christmas Day, because that was first and foremost in our thoughts, church on Christmas Day.
Old Granny's stocking, she had her stocking. She couldn't find him because all the grandchildren looked for Granny's stocking and hang them up. You know, it wasn't very much to get them, but to get something.
That's right.
Wasn't plentiful things like these now, but they would always hang up stocking all around the house. They would always get up first thing Christmas Day looking around, see what down the old stocking.
Yeah,
but as it was, well, we didn't have any Christmas trees neither. Wasn't no Christmas tree, but yet we was happy we also found the stocking.
As a child, I recall getting up at midnight. We had, in those days, we wore little black corded stockings. We hung two stockings on a little chair which we had, and my mother had raised a boy from Jamaica. He put his cap down by the door, and when we got up Christmas morning, we would find an apple, a few candy, and we were delighted. After that, as I grew older and I began working, I still had that real joy at Christmas, getting new clothes, new shoes, and going to Sunday school. From there we had picnics at Christmas, concerts, and that continued until I became, I say, a grown lady at 16 years of age when I went to work for myself.
Now, all the new finery, the new clothes and all the rest of it in those days had to be ordered. A lot of people used mail orders, I think.
Well, we would use Montgomery Ward, Sears Roebuck to order what we needed for Christmas. And it really didn't take too much money then. If we could get $10, we were able to get a pair of shoes, a dress, some underwear, and that would come. If we got $10, it was a miracle. Even I remember just having £1, and we could get a pair of shoes, a hat, and a dress for £1.
Right. And in those days, you could buy fabric for the dresses very cheaply. Give me an idea of what it used to cost me for a new dress.
Oh, well, I think the best cloth that you could get probably cost 2 shillings a yard. I don't think you got anything much dearer than that.
And for that, you could have a beautiful dress.
Yes, shot silk was very popular. Voile, organdy, They were the things that we made dresses out of in those days, you know. You once in a while heard about a satin dress or a silk dress. I remember having a embroidered silk dress when I was about 10 years old. No, boy, that I had. That was big.
We used to have a goods looked something like cross weave, and we called it basket muslin. And when we were dressed in that, of course, we thought we were dressed in velvet.
There was no ready-made clothing. The cloth was brought in and sold, and the little district, you know, had the brown cotton and white cotton and dresses and so on, dress things to make dresses and men's clothes.
So the ladies were doing a lot of sewing beforehand?
Oh, practically every housewife had her own sewing machine and knew how to sew. If she couldn't, why, she would get the next door neighbor, who was a seamstress, to do that. I know that I had an aunt, Martha her name was, and she would go to Georgetown and work there a whole week at a sewing machine, especially for the Merrins and Parsons. Those days, all of them, their clothes, coats, every man wore a coat.
Yeah.
If he was anywhere around the town all day. It is only here, the last 8-10 years, that's stopped, that you go in shirt sleeves. Anyway, she would then bring up a lot of raw cloth and finish them up at home here and send them back. Shirts, coats, pants, what have you.
Usually, I suppose the better off of us always had a little order come by mail for Christmas, and most of us in those days could do our own sewing.
Another lost art today.
And we perhaps had about 3 or 4 little new dresses for Christmas, which we looked forward to. That meant something to us to have a new dress for Christmas.
Quite a bit of parading around to show them off, I guess.
Yes, and we took time to make them nice and good. My mother could sew, my sister could sew, and I could sew myself. So we did a lot of sewing. It was a large family. We had to sew for the boys as well as the girls. And so we had a lot of sewing to do before Christmas, that everybody could have something new for Christmas.
Yeah, with a lot of cloth. Wasn't no ready-made dresses, though. But they would always have people to sew their dresses. Was always someone to sew dress and pants and shirts. Some people could make nice clothes.
Probably even jackets.
Oh, yes. My mother could make jackets. She would sew police jackets. You know, my father was the first police for the Cayman Island.
And quite a narrative there about Christmas in former days. And of course, some of you might have recognized Mr. Doran Miller, former Radio Cayman Deputy Director, in that narrative. He conducted that in 1978, 79. And, you know, in reviewing this some while back, I thought to myself, how did we get all of this information done working with a razor blade and a splicing block and reel-to-reel tapes? And but it came out okay. And we're up to news time now, and we've got the news coming up for you right now.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Bracken, Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
With your latest headlines, I'm April Cummings. A 47-year-old man accused of 2 counts of indecent assault against a minor is found guilty on one of the counts, but not guilty on the other. Vallevichel Jose Peter was accused of molesting a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old in the waters off Smith Cove in February. A judge found him guilty of molesting the 10-year-old. He was released on bail and will be sentenced in January. In international headlines, a 7-year-old girl picked up with other migrants along the U.S.-Mexico border spent about 8 hours in custody before having seizures, spiking a fever, and then later dying in a Texas hospital. Federal officials say an autopsy has been scheduled to determine the cause of death, but the child did appear to be dehydrated and apparently had not anything to eat or drink in days. The executive director of Greenpeace International says the U.S. delegation to the UN climate talks has been putting itself in the way as the rest of the world takes efforts to forge an agreement on fighting global warming. Jennifer Morgan was speaking on the last scheduled day of UN climate talks. She said the U.S. delegation was questioning the science on climate change and was, quote, completely out of step with other participants at the talks. The UN says the number of Venezuelans fleeing their country's economic and humanitarian crisis is expected to reach 5.3 million by the end of 2019, in what has become the largest exodus in modern Latin American history. The UN High Commissioner for Refugees said today that humanitarian organizations will need $738 million to provide migrants with critical services like food and emergency shelter, as added stress is put on receiving nations. About half of the new arrivals are expected to stay in Colombia, while others will journey on to Ecuador, Peru, and the Southern Cone. Those are your headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom. I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Jay and Money Christmas link up par with your family. Time for your fix up. Jay and Money Christmas link up par with your family. Time for your fix up.
Win a family vacation and link up with your family in Jamaica, or send for them with Jay and Money Christmas link up. From now until December 31st, just send or receive money for an instant entry. Win a road trip airfare for one, a family dinner, and a day at a theme park. Weekly spot prizes included. Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at Jay and Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
Retain your peace of mind by installing a reliable generator, knowing that your family is safe and secure during a power outage. At Corporate Electric, we care about the well-being of our customers and their loved ones. We are the official distributor of Kohler SDMO generators in the Cayman Islands and can conduct a free assessment of your house to suggest the perfect fit. Call us at 946-2277. Visit our website or the Facebook page for more details.
Oh, this Christmas, Kirk Freeport is wishing everyone peace, love, joy, and $40,000 in prizes. Win one of the multiple $5,000 and $1,000 cash prizes just for shopping at your favorite Kirk Freeport store. Purchases of $100 before noon on Christmas Eve qualify for all remaining prize draws. There's even a Rolex watch prize draw on January 2nd, and loads of other great prizes. Peace, love, joy, and the island's biggest Christmas sweepstakes. Only from Kirk Freeport. Full details on kirkfreeport.com. Merry Christmas from Kirk Freeport.
I am worried about my employees' health insurance. Are there any companies out there that I can rely on for great coverage, affordable payments, and who will work to make the switch as easy as possible? Or am I asking for too much?
You sound like you need Fidelity Health. At Fidelity, they offer great coverage through a highly rated and trusted carrier, payments I can afford, and with no on-island deductible on all the plans they offer. Best of all, they offered my company 50% back on the first month's premium.
This is too important. Today's the day I am switching to Fidelity Health.
Make the easy switch to Fidelity today and get 50% cash back on your first month's premium until December 31st. Call 949-7822 to make your switch now.
Brandsource Home Gallery has been appointed the exclusive Cayman supplier for Duravit bathroom products. Duravit is the leading international manufacturer of bathroom ceramics, tubs, and showers, recognized around the world for beautiful, functional products. Winner of top industry awards, Duravit collaborates with leading European designers to provide the most elegant and innovative bath products. If you're ready to bring style, comfort, and innovation to your bathroom, visit Brandsource Home Gallery to see the new Duravit showroom and meet the in-house bath designer. Whether you're planning a functional family bathroom or a personal spa retreat, browse the Duravit collection and be inspired. Brandsource Home Gallery, delivering a new standard in custom designed bathrooms. Brandsource Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
The only bad workout is the one that never happens. Make 2019 the year you commit to fitness. Let King Sports Center put you on the right track with their Get Fit 2019 sale from December 15th to January 15th. 2-for-1 Powerhouse Gym memberships for $600 or a single membership for $325. And call them to find out how you can take an additional $100 off this sale price. 946-5464 or visit kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, providing your fitness, recreation, and relaxation needs. Remember, fit is not a destination. It is a way of life.
You're listening to CI Retro Talk Today, Christmas Remembered, being brought to you by FSH Design. Let your imagination grow with FSH Design Limited. Visit fshdesign.com today. And also by Cayman Enterprise City and by Four Winds Esso. Well, gentlemen, lady, our guests in the studio, Anika Connolly and Grayson DeCosta, Reverend Stanwick Miles, and Dr. Curtis Barnett. Anything in that last narrative there that we heard with some of those folks talking about Christmas remembered, and some of those folks were telling us about what they heard Christmas was like probably back into the mid-1800s. Well, ladies first. Annika, did you... anything that caught your fancy?
Yeah, definitely. I love food, so I tuned in at all of the segments about food. And I forgive me for not remembering her name, but she spoke about cooking the Christmas beef and how they used to keep it so that it lasted, I guess, almost throughout for a whole week. And to me, I found that really interesting because it's still somewhat of a tradition today for us to have that Cayman style beef at Christmas, and a lot of us look forward to it. And I hope that it continues, because I think that is something that has a lot of cultural background for us, that there are so many stories you can tell surrounding how the Christmas beef came to be as a Caymanian meal for Christmas that could be passed on to generations to come.
I guess modern culinary delight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Reverend Stan, you think that culinary delight has been watered down over the years?
It has certainly changed.
It's turkey now.
Yeah, it's turkey now. I like food too, and I was remembering. Of course, most of those people talking there were like a generation before me.
Yes,
but still, I remember when we used to keep beef. My mother would cook our beef and keep it for sometimes almost a week. I guess with just the oil. The oil would keep it from going bad. And then each day she would warm it up. And it would last for a long time. But I tell you what I remember. I remember the marches on Christmas mornings, and we would wake up early to see the marchers, and the men in Georgetown would come around with drums and guitars and I don't know, maybe an accordion.
Brother, in the last segment we got a whole talk about marching.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we'll see how that. We have to listen close to see how you think that might have changed from, the early part of the century to when your experience of marching.
But they also had food because they would meet at somebody's house. They had all kinds of food cooked up.
Yes,
they would sit there all day eating and drinking and talking foolishness and eating. Just having a good time.
Well, Grayson, you've been listening here now, and how old are you?
10 years old.
10 years old, and you're looking forward to Christmas.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Only 11 days more.
He knows
it's 11 days more.
I have a countdown on my desk too.
Okay.
I'm with you.
Well, what do you
we used to do that too.
What are you expecting for Christmas?
For Christmas, I will be expecting my sister, because she went away for college, but I already got that as an early Christmas gift.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
And I want like a phone and all of that.
All that, yeah. All that.
Yeah, and I also want to celebrate with my family, in my house and my friends, and I want a lot of things for Christmas.
You want a lot of things for Christmas.
Don't we all?
What would be your top choice if Santa said to you, you've heard of Santa? If Santa said to you, I can only give you one choice for Christmas, what do you think you would choose?
Well, I would choose that gift because, like, some of my teachers in school say you get what you get and you don't be upset.
Yes.
That's a good rhyme.
There's a lesson.
So you'd be satisfied with whatever you got.
Yes.
And it's a rhythm. You get what you get, and you don't be upset.
Dr. Barnett, anything that caught your fancy in that narrative?
Well, as the others were saying, talking about food and so on, those things caught my fancy, yes. But also, I think there was a certain amount of emphasis and commentary on the fact that, they had much less in those days, and they were somewhat inventive and made their own toys and playthings, right? Playthings. You used to use that word. And play toys also. And so I think one of the things that definitely caught my fancy was the fact that there was less emphasis on the material aspect. Miss Genevieve, I think, specifically spoke to that.
Yes.
With the balloons, you were happy.
Yes.
And of course, some of the children, the boys and so on. In my day, certainly with the firecrackers, you were pretty happy, and the sparklers. And another big thing was, and all along people have spoken of the religious aspect, but for many of us it was the programs and the Sunday school programs in church and so on. You'd be memorizing your part, and you're looking forward to reciting recitations. Yes, and that was a big part for many of us growing up in an earlier generation as well. Yeah.
Drayson, you think you might go to church on Christmas Day?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I mostly go on Saturdays.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, that's great. That's great to hear that from the young folks. Coming up a little later, I think it's in some of the other narrative that we got coming up. We have an old, she was up in the 90s when we did this, and she was asked basically that question, and she said, what's happening today is that the parents are not telling their children about church. Stan, you think that has matriculated over the years?
Well, somebody mentioned Santa Claus. I think it was you. Yeah. But at Christmas, a lot of times we have this whole thing about Santa Claus and partying and all this sort of whatever goes on. A lot of people forget the real meaning of Christmas.
Yes.
Without Christ, there would be no Christmas.
Yes.
And like somebody said, it doesn't matter what we do, but Christmas is about Christ. And I hope that we here in Cayman would put more emphasis on this. Now, I love Christmas. I love the lights. I love the music. I love Christmas. I really do.
Christmas breezes.
The Christmas breeze.
Oh, yes. That's the best.
I love all of that. And the programs as well. But I think we must always remember what Christmas is really about. Mm-hmm. I hope we don't forget that.
Yeah, Jesus is the reason for the season.
He is the reason for the season, yes.
And you mentioned don't tell. There are a lot of things we don't tell our children, and we should be telling more. Such as who their relatives are.
Oh.
We get into that conversation from off air.
Shirley Dean?
Yes.
What did you hear in that narrative that kind of...
If we don't tell, they don't hear the story.
Right.
This is true, yeah.
Well, Ms. Locke, as I listened to it, a couple of things struck me, and two more than others. I think it was Reverend Bowman that talked about the commercialization of it, even back then. The recognition that it became and was becoming more and more about a commercial activity, but also the emphasis on sowing, not just producing for yourself and the like, but the expectation of how you present yourself and what you did with what you had, and that resourcefulness that came through. It shows in industrious people, but also are people who have a lot of resolve.
Mm-hmm. Listening to one of the things I remember as somebody was talking, I remember my mother always told me they had plenty of food. Plenty of food. Now, that amazed me because you're talking about a time when there was much in Cayman.
Austere.
But what they did was they grew their own food.
Yes.
And even as a child, we had in our yard, we had yams and potatoes and breadfruit. I grew up in a yard that was, in the day would be dark with breadfruit trees.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
plant high, big, tall breadfruit trees. Whatever we needed, we had avocados. We have papayas. Of course, berries.
Yeah, neesberries.
Neesberries, we call them.
Neesberry?
You say it both ways. Both ways, neesberries.
Guavas, plums. It was all in our yard.
Oh, yeah.
So we grow our own food. You know.
Eggplant or egg fruit.
Egg fruit.
Everything, yeah.
And
egg fruit. Have you ever seen it or heard about it?
I know eggplant.
Yeah,
No,
egg fruit.
Egg fruit, yeah.
Egg fruit.
And I have not seen an egg fruit tree in years.
Yeah.
That's right.
Even the chalamello.
Jalamella.
Yeah. What about the star apple? You know the star apple?
Yes.
Not the one that's shaped like a star, but the star apple is there are two types. One is purple, one is green.
Yes.
And when you cut it open, it looks like ice cream inside. That's the way I used to feel as a child. You know.
Drayson, can you think that years ago we thought that you could only get apples at Christmas time?
Why?
Because we only did.
Because that's the way it was. We only got them at Christmas time, in fact. And when they got here, they were well matured, quite ripe.
The shops
and they smelled lovely.
Are apples the same thing as right now?
Yes.
Like red?
Yes. Same, the same
Of course,
thing.
some apples are green, some are yellow. But
They have a process where they can basically stall the growth of the apple to allow it to travel to different countries and to hold them throughout the whole entire year, whereas fruits technically have a season where they're only ripe during certain times of the year. However, humans have been so creative and ingenious to come up with a way to prolong that now we're able to have any fruit at any time of the year.
They inject something called alard into them. You know. But I was telling my boys years ago about how we could smell apples at Christmas. One of them said, "You can smell apples."
That's true.
Yes, I mean that was a big, big
the
attraction.
aroma.
You smell.
You walk by the stores, you smell apples.
Well, did they have mangoes?
Oh yes, we had plenty of mangoes.
Plenty of mangoes.
But not so much at Christmas time. That was in the
September,
season.
September, right. Yeah, right.
Apples, are grown in cooler
climates.
climates, and but we thought that you could only get an apple at Christmas. And
that was a treat.
Yeah.
That's the only time we got an apple.
And now we take it for granted and have it every day.
Can I tell you a story? I was at a friend's house in the States, and it was getting night. It was getting dark, and we were outside. He was barbecuing some stuff, and I felt these things squishing under my feet. I said, "What are these things?" And they were apples which had fallen off the tree and was just spoiling on the ground. It always made me sick. I said, we paid so much for apples in Cayman that they're wasting.
Well, Dr. Barnett has brought his guitar along, and I think we're going to give you a little music now. Drain, you're going to
bring my singing voice in.
What are we going to do first, Doctor?
Drain is leading.
Well, we'll just sing
that baritone.
we'll sing a couple of samples of what we normally used to do in church and people used to use in caroling, etc. So how about O Come All Ye Faithful, which was originally in Latin, Adeste Fideles.
Yes.
Come, you faithful ones. Right? And we have the great translation in English, and we're going to sing, a couple of stanzas maybe?
Yeah, two stanzas and a chorus, and two choruses.
Oh, come
all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. Oh, come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Sing, choirs of angels, sing in exaltation. Oh, sing, all ye citizens of heaven above. Glory to God, glory in the highest. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ
was in Latin at first, and it has a chorus that is very simple, and Drayson, who knows Spanish, would immediately recognize what I'm singing if I sang the 3 or 4 phrases that the original Latin chorus had.
And maybe Drayson might even pick up and duet with you.
you might as well, because it goes like this. Venite adoremos, venite adoremos, venite adoremos, Dominum. Dominum means the Lord. Let's sing it again. Latin. That's the first time and ever. That's the only time that Latin has been sung on Radio Cayman. At least by Caymanians. Venite adoremos, venite adoremos, venite adoremos, Dominum.
Joel, did you sing along? Yes, yeah. Joel is over there on the controls, sitting between the tables, turning the labels, as we used to say. And, in our Cayman Islands Talk Today special presentation, a CI Christmas Remembered, we'll move on to take a look at travel within the islands at Christmas time. We'll look at Christmas commerce. And although, separated by water, Christmas activities in Little Cayman, Cayman Brac, and Grand Cayman were similar. The same things that you hear talked about around this in the studio today were happening on all 3 islands, and there might even been a little activity on Owens Island back then. So, travel by boat, you'll hear, horseback, and a term that you never hear much now, but they call legging it. Legging it, and there was very few cars, and even in this segment, a little bit of commerce in here, you'll hear that there was trade with Japan and also Italy, and of course Sunday Reverence, as we mentioned at the top of the program, was always a very important part of Christmas celebrations. So, Joel, your turn. Push the buttons.
And did the people in East End have to travel to Georgetown to buy material, or could they, the fabric for making the clothes, or could they get it right in the district?
Yeah, they could. When I grew up, they could get it right in the district.
Travel in those days, what it was like? Everything was walking or horseback.
Yeah, walking. You walk where anytime you want to go East End, all the girls get ready, dressed, gone East End. That was nothing. That was like fun along the road. They're about walking, talking, gone.
How did you get to North Side?
We walked there too. Sometimes I had horse. If I could get enough horse, I would get on the horse and ride now. So I could ride horse, and children always ask, Granny, you can ride horse? Yes, I can ride horse.
I bet you can still do it.
Yeah, I can still do it now.
And of course, in those days, there were no roads, no cars, and so I'm told that people had to ride to Georgetown to do Christmas shopping or go through the North Sound in boats.
Oh, yes, everybody. I won't say everybody, but some people had big boats. My father had a big boat, and usually it was my older sister, Iva, who is now the librarian, and she was the one who always got the opportunity to go into town to do the little Christmas shopping. My mother didn't do anything like that, so she did the little Christmas shopping.
Yes, that's right. We used to go through the Sound, because we at that time we had no horse, so we had to use boat to go to Georgetown to do your Christmas shopping. Those that had horse could ride it, but we didn't have a horse, so we had to do it by boat.
Who were the people in this district of Northside that had the boats that I understand people used to book passages on them just to be sure they get their Christmas shopping done?
Well, your grandfather, Jack Miller, had a good boat. The McCoys, they had a big boat that they used to use, and the Chisholm down outside, and we used to get our passage sure that with them that we was make sure we was all ready to be there for Christmas.
I guess it was almost like going to another island.
It sure was.
Mrs. Patton, what was Christmas like, say, 40 years ago? You were the youngest member of the island's leading merchants at that time, H.R. Marin and Company. Shedden Road certainly was the hub of activity, especially at Christmas time. Shoppers came from all over the island to converge in that area where, as I said, you had a shopping complex and Dr. Roy across the way.
Right.
Tell me something about that. What was it like?
That was like Broadway in New York at that time. Everybody congregated there. And I remember, too, when even boats, small boats, used to come from West Bay to Georgetown, while others came from, North Side, through the North Sound, and those from East End came by horseback, and bicycles. Actually, the hub was right on Shedden Road, between our old Shedden Road supermarket and what is now known as, I think, Columbus's building.
40 or 50 years ago, as far as the commercial business in the island is concerned, the only stores we had, more or less, was Merrin's and mine, of McTaggart, situated there on Shedden Road. And it was a very, very busy week or time. That is, the week before Christmas. And it was the greatest pleasure in the world for the householders, the women, to get out and come around, look the shops over and see what they wanted. And then Christmas Eve, brother, you couldn't tear through the crowds that were in front of those two stores. In other words, that was the main attraction for the whole island, I must say. They came from out of town and they just congregated around Merrin's and McTaggart's store. Oh, of course, they were buying goods.
They were in and out of both?
In and out both.
Comparing prices, I guess?
Well, more or less, but sometimes Merrin's, I suppose, had more than I did, and sometimes I had what Merrin's didn't have, so they, as you said, they had to go from one to the other. But
comparatively speaking, business was good. However, the population was considerably smaller, the mode of life more simple, and there was much less money in circulation. But all the merchants were busy preparing for Christmas, some of us as early as September.
What kind of lines of merchandise did Merrin's carry then?
Doreen, I would say basically the same. For example, we always had a full line of groceries, excluding chilled and frozen merchandise, although we brought in potatoes, onions, and cabbage, and merchandise that could stand, say, 2 or 3 days without being in a chiller. But we also handled fabric, shoes, hosiery, hats, patent medicines, hardware, certainly including bicycles and tricycles. We used to say years ago, because we had the sub-agency for Ford Motor Company out of Jamaica, and then we had the agency for the Studebaker Company from the United States, we said we handled from pins to cars.
You also had building supplies as well.
Yes, indeed. We always imported corrugated steel sheets, or commonly known as zinc, from England, and of course galvanized nails and barbed wire, staples, and that type of merchandise.
You name it.
Mine was a general store. I had grocers in there, and I had shoes upstairs, and hats upstairs, and dresses upstairs, and downstairs on the east side was where I kept all of my piece goods. In those days we were able to get a lot of cloth from Japan, and we had to order in large quantities. The result that we were able to undersell what you could get from Jamaica.
That's very interesting.
And of course, the people realized that we were getting what they wanted at a price that suited them more or less, so that we were able to cut prices over the Jamaica prices just by ordering it direct from Japan ourselves, Merrin and ourselves.
Dr. Roy, for a pound or two, as pounds in those days, what could people buy?
In those days, a pound went, I think, sometimes farther than a pound today, by far, because the prices and goods were so very much cheaper than what they are at the time.
But you could get a pair of shoes, I imagine, for a pound.
Oh, yes, quite easily, sometimes less than that. It depends on the quality you wanted. Of course, as far as I'm concerned, I bought my shoes direct from New York. I'd make sometimes periodic visits up there and buy exactly what I want, and otherwise a salesman would come down and we could make our selection, so that we didn't have to buy anything from Jamaica in that respect at all.
Well, I'm sure that some of our younger people could never imagine that
ladies' shoes ranged from, say, 5 shillings to 10 shillings per pair. Men's shoes would range from 15 shillings to £1 per pair, while children's shoes were extremely inexpensive, say 2 shillings to 3 shillings a pair.
And even in those days, you imported shoes from as far away as Italy, I believe.
That's right, although they, at that time, most of them came from the United States, but we did have direct importation from Italy. And speaking of prices of merchandise, I could certainly mention fabrics. There were fabrics that we sold from 3 pennies per yard to dress fabrics up to 2 shillings and 3 shillings per yard. Khaki material used chiefly for men and boys was sold from 1 9 to 2 shillings, and blue denim at about 1 6 per yard. I might also mention, speaking about materials, we used to purchase men's suiting from England many years ago, and it was sold well at that time, but of course in this day and age everyone likes to buy ready-made clothing.
Mm-hmm. But in those days, everyone made their own clothing. Most families made their own clothing, men and women.
Yes, that is correct. Ladies and sometimes we would have the men also, but mostly ladies did the sewing in those days.
Now, the types of food certainly have changed over the years. We have such variety today. What were some of the more famous brands that you carried in those days?
Well, we had quite a lot of grocers and cans, as well as raw material like cassava and yams and potatoes, and we had a lot of onions and so forth and so on, just what they would need. And the stores were well stocked, more or less, particularly at that time of the year.
Well, I guess most of these provisions would have been grown on the island, brought in from the outer districts to be put in the stores.
Well, North Side was very good at cultivating, because they used to bring a lot of cassava and yams and potatoes from North Side to sell in town. Of course, nothing like that, more or less, is done in Georgetown.
And how late did you stay open, the stores stay open, say, on Christmas Eve or during Christmas week in those days?
We had later hours even than we have now. We rarely went home on Christmas Eve until after 12, unless Sunday was following. We always were certain that we were home by Sunday morning, before 1 o'clock or before 12:30. But the hours were later than they now are.
And that meant getting home and being ready for church next morning as well.
That is quite correct. That is true.
And there you heard about commerce and various other aspects of the Christmas celebration. But right here we want to remind you that this CI Retro Talk Today Christmas Remembered Special is being brought to you by Cayman Enterprise City. Cayman Enterprise City is pioneering a new type of special economic zones in the Cayman Islands, focused on technology and innovation. And also by Four Winds Esso in West Bay, serving the Cayman Islands community now for a long, long time, and especially the West Bay community. Also being brought to you by FSH Design. Let your imagination grow with FSH Design Limited. Visit fshdesign.com today. And we've got some other commercials coming up, and then we'll be talking about some of the stuff that we just heard.
Stay connected and enjoy your favorite holiday moments with Flow. Make Christmas memories great with the best phones at amazing holiday prices. Get the Samsung Galaxy A8 from $43.25 a month, or the S9 from $70.75 a month from Flow. Sign up for Flow Quad Play to share up to 50 gigs of data and 5,000 calling minutes. It's amazing value and great gifts for loved ones or yourself. Plus, plenty of chances to win Flow holiday prizes. So make it Flow for everything mobile this Christmas. Visit discoverflow.ky for more. Terms and conditions apply.
Kubo Restaurant and Lounge. Cayman's only Pan-Asian restaurant and lounge is now open for lunch.
Taste the traditional flavors of Asian cuisine fused with your modern flair in Kubo's new sushi menu. With lunch delivery from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. Monday through Friday, you can bring the Asian fusion flavors of Kubo and your sushi platter to your office today. Kubo Restaurant and Lounge is located in the Strand next to the eatery and below Lily's nightclub.
Now open for lunch. That's right, now open for lunch with a new sushi menu and delivery. Visit kubo.ky. That's KUBOH.KY, or call 947-4513 to place your order.
So you made Santa's list this year? what do you want for Christmas?
All I want for Christmas is a new car or truck or SUV. I'm not too picky.
Yeah, you're not cheap either. Just a car. You know Vamp Motors still has your sale, your choice going on. You can save thousands on purchase price, extend warranty or service, upgrade to a sports package, or give your savings to someone else.
You mean you gonna save when you buy that car for me? My gift to you is letting you use $1,000 you save for yourself.
Your sale, your choice at Vamped Motors. Save up to $6,000 on selected vehicles. You decide how you want to save, spend, or do both with up to $6,000. Your sale, your choice at Vamped Motors. Walker's
A trip
Road.
to New York City is the experience of a lifetime. Starting this December, Cayman Airways will be offering daily non-stop flights from Grand Cayman to New York City. That's right, Cayman Airways is going daily to New York City starting this December. Stroll through Central Park or take in the bright lights of Times Square, enjoy a Broadway show, or visit museums, the Empire State Building, and so much more. Whether you're visiting for business or pleasure, you'll fall in love with New York City. And daily non-stop flights from Grand Cayman aboard Cayman Airways starting this December. For details and to book, call Cayman Airways reservations at 949-2311. Contact a travel agent or visit CaymanAirways.com.
The holidays wouldn't be the same without a little boom from Fireworks Limited. Cayman's biggest firework discount megastore is now open behind massive equipment at Industrial Park. Fireworks Limited has a megastore full of new fireworks and offers huge volume discounts. Stock up early and save big with free gifts with every purchase and the biggest variety of products on island. Fireworks Limited is behind massive at Industrial Park with tons of parking. Open until 6 p.m. every day except Sunday and open until 8 p.m. on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve.
'Tis the season to celebrate big savings at Reflections Apparel, Footwear and Accessory Store in their brand new location with lots more parking on Shedden Road beside Mango Tree Restaurant. Ladies, you can find the perfect holiday party dress, and men have a wide selection of dress and polo shirts with blazers to match. With brands like Levi's and Dockers, Reflections will keep you stylish this holiday season from head to toe. Find great gift ideas like leather belts and wallets, perfumes and accessories, or grab a gift certificate in any denomination. Shop the new Reflections for all your Christmas needs. Extended hours are from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday and 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays.
South Coast Bar and Grill up in Breakers, man, that is the place. For traditional Cayman cuisine, oh, you will love the taste. At South Coast Bar and Grill, we got conch and lobster and turtle stew. And every Sunday, come out with your family for the barbecue.
South Coast Bar and Grill by the seaside, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily, lunch and dinner. Call us at 947-2517.
For Cayman and cuisine, the talk today is South Coast Bar and Grill.
You need Fidelity Health. At Fidelity, they offer great coverage through a highly rated and trusted carrier. Payments I can afford, and with no on-island deductible on all the plans they offer. Best of all, they offered my company 50% back on the first month's premium.
Make the easy switch to Fidelity today and get 50% cash back on your first month's premium until December 31st. Call 949-7822 to make your switch now.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
New stock has just arrived and more is on the way at Dollar Super Buy Variety Store, number 12 Plaza Venetia, North Songway. Christmas decorations, wrapping paper, gift bags, gift items, toys, perfumes, handbags, home decor, and so much more, and all at great prices. While you are there, step over to number 8 Plaza Venetia and see what is trending at Babes Teens. Lovely Christmas dresses and outfits for all your Christmas photos, baby items, clothes, blankets, baby bags, toys, dresses, shirts, pants, jeans, pajamas, shoes, and more. Dollar Super Buy and Babes to Teens are now open Monday to Saturday, 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Call 946-8157. The management management and staff of Dollar's Super Buy Variety Store and babes to teens wish you a Merry Christmas and God's richest blessing for the new year.
You're listening to CI Retro Talk Today's Christmas Remembered special presentation. And our studio guests today, of course, have been, or will have been, Annika Connolly, who has to leave us in just a little bit, but she's going to stick around to help us do a chorus of another Christmas song. And Drayson DaCosta and Reverend Stan McMiles and Dr. Curtis Barnett. And Doctor, if you could just give us whatever chord you're going to use, is it low chord or high chord?
Yeah, let's do the Caribbean song, The Virgin Mary Had a Baby Boy. 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 They say that his name was Jesus. He come from the glory. He come from the glorious kingdom. He come from the glory. He come from the glorious kingdom.
Let's have Drayson.
I was waiting for it. Just believer.
He come from the glory. He come from the glorious kingdom. He come from the glory. He come from the glorious kingdom.
Oh yes, believers.
Sing it.
Oh yes, believers. He comes from the glory. He comes from the glorious kingdom. He comes from the glory. He comes from the glorious kingdom.
The angels sang when the baby was born. The angels sang when the baby was born. The angels sang when the baby was born. And they say that his name was Jesus. Come from the glory.
He comes from the glorious kingdom. He comes from the glory. He comes from the glorious kingdom. Oh yes, believers. Oh yes, believers. He comes from the glory. He comes from the glorious kingdom.
The shepherds came when the baby was born. The shepherds came when the baby was born. The shepherds came when the baby was born.
And they say that his name was Jesus.
Come from
The glory. He comes from the glorious kingdom. He comes from the glory. He comes from the glorious kingdom. Oh yes, believers. Oh yes, believers. He comes from the glory. He comes from the glorious kingdom. He comes from the glory. He comes from the glorious kingdom.
And boy, Drayson have quite a voice there.
Yeah. Future Cayman star.
Yes. Annika, I know you have to leave. Work's calling. And
Yes.
Thank you for taking time out to help us here with Cayman Christmas Remembered. And anything you'd like to leave?
I would just like to close by saying, once again, thank you for having me. Always a pleasure to be on the show with both of you and to see new old faces that I haven't seen in a long time. And that's what I mean. I haven't seen you in a long time, so it's been good to catch up and meeting new friends as well. And just a message to everyone for the Christmas season, to remember the reason for the season. Share with your loved ones, spend time with the people that are here for you. We never know what could happen to us in the future, so let's take advantage of the moments that we have now and celebrate with each other and to just continue enjoying the season and the Christmas breeze.
All right.
Thank you all.
I think we wish all that same for you.
Thank
and have a good one.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
And our listeners.
Very much so. And to those listeners, we're going to open the phones up here after the news, which comes up in about 6 minutes. We've got another short segment, and then we'll open the phones up to you listeners who can share with some of your thoughts on Christmas Remembered. Now, Stan, that last segment that we had there, that they were talking about many things. Anything that really caught your ears?
Yes, I remember the shopping center of Georgetown, which is where the Marion stores were located. and down at the end of Shaden Road on the waterfront. The Marys had about 5 stores. They had the grocery store. They had right next to it was a hardware store, then a shoe store, and across the street was what they called the dry goods store, which was really a clothing store. You got shoes, you got clothes. And then Dr. Roy's store was next to their dry goods store. And then on the end was Miss Eric Cook's souvenir shop, the first souvenir shop in Cayman. And then there was Captain Ben's bar on the eastern side of the dry goods store, which the bar later on was turned into a bottling factory where they made drinks. And I think many of us used to collect bottles and take in there for them. And then there was the ice cream parlor.
Oh, that was a favorite.
Oh, yeah. And I used to love to get the cones of the point.
Yes.
And then I would take it and I would bite the point out, and ice cream would drip all over my clothes. My mother was not too happy about that. But we used to gather around there. Christmas Eve especially, I would be there. There was nowhere else to go. We would gather there and talk, and women would talk and shop. We would fire off our firecrackers and our cannon rockets and so on, and just have a lot of fun.
Drayson, can you believe that in the districts we could only get ice cream on Saturday evenings?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I guess in some districts, I believe that you could get ice cream in most districts on a weekend. But
ask your grandfather and the older generation.
But then we used to make our own as well. We started making our own.
Yes.
We got the buckets.
Yeah. We used to do that in our family.
Make our own, yes.
Yeah, it would take you, I guess, an hour and a half, 2 hours to churn up.
A lot of hard work.
Yes.
turning. And that's when the ice factory came into
Yes. Can we talk about that ice factory?
Where is that located?
It was right next to where the first Church of God Universal is.
Yes.
Yeah, it was right next to that. It's a school now. And we would go and buy these big chunks of ice, take them home and wrap them in crocus. Wrap the ice in crocus, yeah. And the ice would last then for a couple of days, and we could keep things cool. We could also make shave ice.
Yeah. Like cones.
Icicle,
yeah. Snow cones.
Snow cones, yeah. Put it in cups and put syrup in it. And, yes.
You know, one of the things that happened in West Bay was when the folks would come up from Swan Island and the running of the bulls. Do you remember that?
I don't remember the running of the bulls.
Tell us about that.
When is the movie through grass pieces?
No, this was on the beach.
Okay.
From the boats through the sea and onto the beach.
Well, they used to raise a lot of cattle. I say a lot. Quite a number of cattle on Swan Island. And every Christmas, the crew would change over in Swan Island, and they would bring the cattle that they had raised. And what happened down there? They turned the calves loose from the beginning, and they were wild. They were actually wild, and to get them off of the Adams, usually the Adams or the Jimson that would bring them up, they had to push them overboard. And, this was way out there on what we call over the edge of the blue water.
Yeah, these animals swam.
Well, they could swim, but I don't think that they could have kept themselves up for that for that distance. So they would hold their head up out of water and bring them into the beach. And usually they had 2 ropes on them. But these were big cattle. You've seen the one on the internet, the big bull in Australia.
Yes.
When I saw that, I said, well, some of those cows that came up from Swan Island was almost that size, and they were wild, and all the kids in West Bay looked forward to that because this was where do the bulls run in Spain? Pompeo. This was West Bay. Pompeo.
So they would get away.
Well, some of them, yes, because they couldn't hold them, and of course they brought them up in order to butcher them, and they didn't hang around too long. But we're coming up right now on news time, and right after news time, I think we'll have some more commercials, and then we've got a short segment, and then your listeners listening, we'll open the phones for you for some comments from you, and that will be our Christmas. Remember, also a reminder here that this program will also be repeated next Thursday evening at 7 o'clock, and then the following Sunday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So if you missed it today, just tell their friends that they can hear it again. Christmas Remembered. And we go to those commercials now. Or news time.
Radio K-Man. Radio K-Man's newsroom. Headline. These are the biggest stories right now.
Police have a 32-year-old man in custody on suspicion of murder after a call from a concerned member of the public Thursday. Police say they followed up and found an unconscious woman with head injuries at a Northwest Point Road address in West Bay. She's in the hospital in stable condition. Police believe the incident happened Wednesday, December 12th between 11 p.m. and 12 a.m., and they're appealing for anyone who may have information or have seen anything to contact West Bay CID at 949-3999. In international headlines, the EU rebuffs Theresa May's attempt to get greater assurances over the Brexit border issue. Mrs. May has told leaders the entire deal is in danger if the concerns of British MPs are not addressed. The Yemen truce agreed to by warring parties has now come into effect. The country's main port, Hodeidah, is seen as crucial to getting aid to millions of Yemenis who desperately need it. And the suspect in the Strasbourg Christmas shooting has been killed by French police after a 2-day manhunt. Police say they shot him when he opened fire. He killed 4 people in Tuesday's attack. Those are your headlines. From Radio K-Man's newsroom, I'm April Cummings.
Radio K-Man, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiokman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio K-Man is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio K-Man.
Marketing. It is the key that no business can live without. From social media to Google Ads, websites to app development, or even graphic design to video commercials, FSH Design is here to help you and your business succeed. We focus on personalized digital marketing and offer advertising consultations for each of our clients. Don't waste time. We want to help you reach your marketing goals today. We work directly with you and your business to generate a strategic marketing plan that will develop current and creative results. Check out our website at fshdesign.com.
Back by popular demand, the Desk Cycle Half Price Sale. Yes, for a limited time only. Get your Desk Cycle for only CI $125. Keep fit, lose weight, stay healthy with the Desk Cycle Pedal Exerciser. Call 326-3726 or email deskcyclecayman@gmail.com. The Desk Cycle allows you to get healthy exercise while sitting at your desk, watching TV, or using your phone. You can be losing weight while reading a book, playing video games, or any other time when you are sitting and your legs are free. Join millions around the world who are loving their Desk Cycle, one of the highest rated items on Amazon with over 2,000 testimonials. The Desk Cycle has been featured on the Hallmark Channel, The Today Show on NBC, ABC, BBC News, CNBC, and many more. Get your Desk Cycle today for only CI $125. Call 326-3726 or email deskcyclecayman@gmail.com. For more information, visit deskcyclecayman.com or like our Facebook page.
'Tis the season to be jolly, and Kirk Freeport is spreading holiday cheer for the whole family. Join us on December 15th from 4 to 7 p.m. for the annual Christmas on Cardinal event. Festivities will include music, refreshments, face painting, cotton candy, cookie decorating, fireworks, and more. Bring the whole family and don't miss your chance to see Santa. Kirk Freeport's annual Christmas on Cardinal event, December 15th from 4 to 7 p.m. on Cardinal Avenue in Georgetown. Merry Christmas from everyone at Kirk Freeport.
Paramount Carpet Cayman Brack pre-Christmas blowout sale is back for 2 days only, Friday, December 14th and Saturday, December 15th. Save big with up to 75% off a selection of tiles and carpets. Wall and floor tiles as low as $10 per box. Universal mats from as low as $5 a pair. And up to 15% off many more items. Paramount Carpet Cayman Brack pre-Christmas blowout sale, Friday, December 14th, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturday, December 15th, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Followed by the Children's Christmas Party at Spot Bay Park, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Paramount Carpet, Cayman Brack, located 3436 Spot Bay Road. Call 948-2665.
We do a whole lot more than just cover your floor at Paramount Carpet.
Stay connected and share your favorite holiday moments with Flow. Pick up the Alcatel A1 from $70 or the Samsung J2 Pro, packed with sweet features from $130. Every week you can win cash and prizes in our Cash Cube when you top up. Also check out our weekly top-up specials. Visit Flow's Facebook and Instagram pages to follow the deals. Plus, top up $25 or more for plenty chances to win great Flow holiday prizes. So make it Flow for everything mobile this Christmas. Visit discoverflow.ky for more. Terms and conditions apply.
To facilitate late-night shoppers, the linen and electrical departments and the bathroom palace at International Lighting, Ed's Plaza, North Sunway, will open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday until December 15th and open late until 10 p.m. through December 24th. Spend $25 in-store and drop your name in the box because 3 Cayman Airways tickets to any of Carl's destinations are up for grabs. Drawing will take place on December 21st. International Lighting, Ed's Plaza, North Sunway, telephone 949-5141. You can also check them out on Fridays and Saturdays from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the entrance of the Buntown Church of God Chapel for loads of discounted items. Merry Christmas from International Lighting.
South Coast Bar and Grill up in Breakers, man, that is the place. For traditional Cayman cuisine, oh, you will love the taste. At South Coast Bar and Grill, we got conch and lobster and turtle stew. And every Sunday, come out with your family for the barbecue.
South Coast Bar and Grill by the seaside, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily, lunch and dinner. Call us at 947-2517.
For Cayman and cuisine, the talk today is South Coast Bar and Grill.
Oh, this Christmas, Kirk Freeport is wishing everyone peace, love, joy, and $40,000 in prizes. Win one of the multiple $5,000 and $1,000 cash prizes just for shopping at your favorite Kirk Freeport store. Purchases of $100 before noon on Christmas Eve qualify for all remaining prize draws. There's even a Rolex watch prize draw on January 2nd, and loads of other great prizes. Peace, love, joy, and the island's biggest Christmas sweepstakes. Only from Kirk Freeport. Full details on kirkfreeport.com. Merry Christmas from Kirk Freeport.
Tips to stay safe this holiday season.
Plan a safe ride home.
Offer to be a designated driver. Ride the Purple Ribbon Bus.
Drink responsibly.
This message is brought to you by the National Drug Council, EK Online, Jake Scott, Foster's, Caribbean Engineering, RCIPS, and Radio Cayman.
Service, especially for you. Especially for you.
Four Winds Esso in West Bay, serving the West Bay community since 1969. That's over 6 decades of friendly, fast, super and courteous service. Be it for fuel for your automobile or equipment needs, or for that quick pickup of those last-minute items for your favorite meal. It's there for you at the Four Winds Esso Tiger Market. Taste enhancers, a grand variety of snacks and drinks, or that early morning sprucer upper, coffee. They've also got a grand selection of sweets and ice cream, headache and pain relievers, paper and picnic essentials. It's all there for you at Four Winds Esso in West Bay, your friendly, fast, super courteous service centre, corner of West Bay Road and Church Street in West Bay. Four Winds Esso, 949-3467.
Especially for you.
And you're in tune to CI Retro Talk Today's Christmas Remembered special presentation. And we move on to the last segment here. And after this segment, we'll open the phones up to your listeners out there listening. If you want to share your Christmas Remembered with us for a little bit. So, Sterling, anything before we go into this next?
Well, looking forward to this segment because I think this is where we talk about not just the kitchen dances, but the whole idea of the spiritual connection, and some of the two went hand in hand, huh?
Yes, definitely, and of course the marching that Reverend Stan mentioned there. So, Joe, you push the button and we'll get the segment.
It was very joyful, and everybody looked forward to Christmas because it meant new everything, a new beginning, and dresses and everything. All the older men, the grown men, they began to march from around, say, 10 o'clock Christmas Eve, and they marched until maybe midday on Christmas Day, and then I suppose they had some drinks, but nothing drunk. Nobody was drunk. Everybody was just happy. And the first time I recall, the men marched on horses followed by music, which was accordion, graders, and drum, and they had a glorious time with crowds of people following them.
Yes, the men of the island, sometimes for as long as about 3 weeks to a month before Christmas, they would get together round about just after sundown, and they would start a march throughout Georgetown. They would have their fiddle and their drum and sometimes an accordion and a grater, and they would go along marching and shouting hip, 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 hooray every now and again. And of course there were only 1 or 2 motor cars about the road in those days, so they had all the room that they wanted to march. And then on Christmas morning they would go around to each one of the houses. There would be dozens and dozens and dozens of them. And I always remember waiting for them to come because it got me awake, and I used to like to hear their music, and I used to like to hear them say, hip, hip, hooray, hip, hip, hooray.
You mentioned getting a little drum. I think in talking a little while earlier, you said that one thing the children in Georgetown did was to have their own march.
This took place on the Christmas Day in the afternoon. A number of us, so maybe 25, 30, sometimes as many as about 40 of us, would get together and we would march through Georgetown. If we had balloons, we would have a few of them in the air. If there were any flags, we would be waving them that Santa brought. If there were any drums, they would be making as much noise as possible. Any rattles, anything that could make noise, beating pans and so on. And I remember that we used to go up to the commissioner's residence, the old government house, which was burned down a few years ago, and we gathered together near to the porch, and he used to come out and he used to throw down pennies for us. And there were many buckheads, as we used to call them, as we were trying to pick them up. We ran into one another and fell down and turned over one another, but it was great fun. And sometimes I would manage to get as many as 3, and I felt very rich.
I would imagine so in those days.
Well, I remember 40, 50 years ago when my old Uncle Nicodemus and them used to begin to get ready for Christmas. They all make ready out of drums and violins and go march in the nighttime and have a lot of fun with each other.
What kind of marching was this? This was carol singing or just music through the roads or what?
Well, we go marching through the road with the music from Old Man Bay right down to the north side to everybody home, looking around and having a good time and singing Christmas carols to each other.
And just about everybody in the community joined in this, I guess.
Yeah, just about everybody in the community joined in these social affairs.
Speaking of this, I'm going to get immediately to what some people have described as the kitchen dances that used to be held. Would you tell me about those?
Well, we used to have a lot of kitchen dances, too. I remember that clearly. And Christmas Day, we would always go to church in the beginning. After church, then we would move down to the big north side, Albert Ebank's place, where we used to have our Christmas dance, starting from 1 o'clock in the day till the next morning, having all kind of fun, cakes and drinks and eats, and everything goes with it.
What kind of music did you use in those days? What did you have? I mean, today we have all kinds of bands and groups and combos and you name it. What did you have to use?
Well, we just had a drum, violin, and a pair of old grater. That's all we used in them days.
Okay, Mr. Green, let's have a sample of the music you did in those days. Let's listen to it.
Sometimes it was in the kitchen and dining room, and sometimes it was in the living room, In those days, people had half the house was the living room.
Right.
And those dances would start from 12 o'clock in the day and 2 o'clock in the day and all that, Christmas time. But I mean, all like me, when we went, we had to go all afternoon. We were allowed to go with one of the brothers, and then
back home at a certain time.
We had to be back by 9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And that was our fun for Christmas.
We always had dances that lasted all day. I remember a neighbour of ours, Mr. Johnny Eden Rivers, the father of Mrs. Anne Sapanton. Every Christmas Day, he had his dance beginning at 7 o'clock in the morning, and it lasted maybe till next day. And everybody was happy together. No drinking those days, just everybody eating and dance all day. It was most joyful.
I had an old uncle, McGuffin. He was a real old dancer and had one big old house. And he used to make all kind of dances from Chris. After the church, I don't know that they had danced until the morning. But no limit, you can dance till morning. But wasn't not much to drink, no. Yeah, they used to have a little, but nobody got high to saying bad words or anything, but they danced until the broad morning.
And the girls stayed there with them.
Yeah, the girls stayed right there till the morning. Some put on new shoes and dance all night till the morning.
That's a good one. That's a lot of dancing.
Yeah, that's a lot of dancing. That's what they used to do. They had low dance. All kind of nice dance.
Was nothing but fiddle and drum. Of course, anybody knows that a violin is the sweetest music still in the world, I believe. And that was accompanied by a drum, and a good drummer, and a greater scrape to keep up the time. And those days they could really dance the real dances. Take the 8-hand polka, the waltz, and what have you. These days they don't even hardly touch their partners. They just get off, then shake up and down a little bit, and that's it.
Everybody knew everybody in those days, and they were all so sociable, you know, and having a good time. And it was a pleasant, a delight, rather, just to watch them, you know, congregating and laughing and talking and hooray and so on, you know. They really spent a Christmas evening, particularly.
And there was a lot of activities around the church.
Yes, that's quite true. You never forgot our church.
That leads me to my next question, and that is that families were very close-knit in those days.
Yes, fathers were usually away at sea, and every December, come what may, they were sure to be home for Christmas. And all the family went to church on Christmas Day. They were all dressed in their best things on Christmas Day. And we spent the entire day having real fun with the family. When church was over, we sat and talked together, and we ate together, and we loved each other, and we visited all our friends and families, and we were all like a great big family.
Christmas really meant eating, drinking, laughing, visiting, and going to church. Now that was a must. You didn't have Christmas unless you went to church. You see, today there are so many diversions. There's this and that and the other thing to take up attention. But in those days, you just had to make Christmas by getting together, and the families visited one another. Christmas time was a time for visiting. People who hadn't seen one another for a long time would remember, well, on Christmas Day I must go and see that person, or see cousin, or auntie, or uncle.
Well, it was a very happy time for myself and I would say the others of my family, and indeed for most of the young boys and girls in Cayman. We used to look forward for Christmas and count the days from about the 1st of July, to tell you the truth. And it seems so far away. And I do remember, too, before I finish, that we always looked forward to go with our parents on Christmas Day to church. That was something that we looked forward to, and then after that, there was a special meal that was prepared for Christmas Day with the whole family together. It was a lovely thing.
Yes. I think that was about the paramount thought of everyone. In those days, early days, my father was a Presbyterian, while my mother worshipped with what was then known as the Holiness Church, and now later known as the Church of God. some of the children would accompany my father to the Presbyterian church, while some of us would go to the Holiness Church with Mom. But by and large, the buildings were usually as crowded, I think, as they could be, taking into consideration our small population. The churches were very definitely, the place to go at Christmas time.
Oh yes, we always had a sacred concert. We had the Sunday school children and the church people had parts. Well, when I was young, your Aunt Miss Alice and Uncle Claudia, they were the two who always got the concerts together when I was a girl. And
they were rehearsing for weeks?
Oh yes, and we knew our parts perfectly too. And we were happy, we were glad to go to practice and do that. We looked forward to that when Christmas was coming. And then, well, of course, in those days, I wasn't big enough then to having a part in the secular concerts. Mm-hmm. But they had secular concerts. But when I got bigger then, a big teenager then, we all had parts in secular concerts. And it was something we looked forward to.
And people looked forward to it for years. And more than that, we enjoyed going to church and commemorating our Lord's birthday. And we had good, wonderful programs, pantomimes, dialogues, recitations, and Christmas songs. And our young people were so much more willing to perform in those days. It was at that time that our men who went to sea would try to come home, and there was a real family reunion. They'd bring back some candies and things that they knew the family would enjoy, where nowadays that isn't the case.
One final question. Do you think that today a lot of the Christ has gone out at Christmas, so to speak? Do you think a lot of that is missing today?
Yes, a lot of it is missing. I know right in my district, every married man that had a family find himself in church. On Christmas Day and every Sunday, a married man sits in church with his family. Setting example for the children what don't happen in these days.
And you think that's part of what's gone wrong today?
That is what's going wrong with the children, for the lack of parents not training the children. They don't show them the house of God.
Well, welcome back, and thank you so much for joining us. It is a special presentation of CI Retro and Talk today. Christmas Remembered, and in the studio, able under the tutelage, supervision, and production of Mr. Loxley Banks, we have Dr. Curtis Barnett, Pastor Stomach Miles, and still joining us now, Mr. Drayson DaCosta. Having fun yet, Drayson?
Yes, sir.
All right. You think about it, school or here? I don't know. Miss your friends.
You said here.
But this is it, man. This is part of that Christmas tradition to be remembered. But Mr. Loxley, as I listen to the narratives, and two things strike us. A lot of the things that we talk about today, in the sense of trying to preserve and protect, but also to promote the family and the like. I know we're going to open up the phone lines, and Wilson tell us if we have a caller online. Do we just go straight to the phones, Mr. Loxley?
Well, just finish your...
my thing.
Yeah.
Don't you think I talk enough now?
Well, your little thought trend there.
All right. No, we just hear the caller. Let's hear the caller.
Okay.
I talk less. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for sharing with us. Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. Am I on air?
Yes. Well, I think everybody can hear you except me. Wilson?
Okay, no problem.
Yes.
God richest blessings to all of you, and Merry, Merry, Merry Christmas.
All right. Merry Christmas to you, man.
I don't say season greetings or happy holidays. It's Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, too.
God bless you.
Lovely, top in love. This is my favorite time of year. I absolutely love Christmas. The whole reasoning behind it. I mean, we have people that will, different religions and whatever, to say that, it's not the right time of year. Jesus Christ wasn't born in December. Okay, that's fine. And we kind of know that, it came about from Constantine back in 336. But it's okay. The reason behind it is the birth of Jesus Christ.
That's the point.
So that's the point. I don't I'm not worried. I'm not concerned that it might not be the correct date. I only know that my birthday is because, well, we're in a point in time. Well, they actually write it down now. But that's beside the point. Jesus Christ came here on earth for a reason, for us all. And through Jesus, we can do everything. Anybody can do anything. And without Jesus in our lives, we are nothing,
Mm-hmm.
We are nothing. So I just want to say that I hope everyone that is out there that can hear or have a Merry Christmas. Enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, everything. Just have a good time. And remember that God is great.
Mm-hmm.
And through God, we can do anything.
Right.
I just want to say one little thing that I remember many, many years ago. When I was a little boy. I went, because I heard Mr. Banks and them talking about Mr. Slaughter talking about the old Marion store, Miss Kippy. I would go there, and that was a treat to go to. You dress up, your mom and then put on your best clothes. You go and shop now. You go down there with my brothers. They go and shop. They're during Christmas time. Come to me and say, "The mama got so many beautiful children. God bless her soul." And she give me one little candy. And boy, let me tell you something. Huh. You could give me a bar of gold.
What a treat.
That was a treat. And Miss Kippen, she get after me. I just kind of remember those times, and I want to share that with everybody, that Christmas is about giving, caring, loving, and remembering that Jesus came here on this earth, made the most ultimate sacrifice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Without question.
Who else would do that?
Yep.
So, anyway, I want you all to have a very, very Merry Christmas.
Yeah, man.
Thank you. Same to you.
And the same to you. God bless you.
And Brother Stan, he just about did your sermon for the...
Yeah, my sermon.
All right. Hey, thanks, man. I'll reach out to you after the show.
The only thing he didn't mention was light.
Yeah, there's another caller. Hey, let's go to the phones. Good afternoon. You're on Talk Today. Or, say retro. Christmas remembered. Hello, good afternoon.
Everyone. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
This is Quincy Brown speaking, and I just want to say, Mr. Banks, to you and your crew, I enjoyed the show immensely.
Mm-hmm.
It is amazing the amount of research, and I know you must have contacted the old archives of Radio Freeman and the National Archives to get a lot of those interviews, I would imagine.
Yes,
but
we did.
All very fitting, timely, a source of education, as we reminisce, very nostalgic. I remember growing up on Tim and Brat. Now, I'm not old enough to sit at table with you gentlemen, but I am old enough to remember my great-grandparents, and I remember the cooking on the caboose, the sense of Christmas, not the sense, the sense, the cooking of the pork and the beef together on the caboose. I can remember that. I remember my great-grandmother Louise with the iron wood and whatnot, putting that on the caboose, and I remember the love and the sharing and caring at Christmas time. On Tim and Brat in Watson Place, look here, you had to go down to Lewin and Lawrence at Dawidi Sandan to Gambi. If you up spot, you're going up to Spinning where I was. But that's where the stand dance, the kiss and dance were happening. So, but listening to the older Timanians share their stories about CI Retro. This is like CI Retro Radio Cayman because so many voices we no longer hear. The true Caymanians telling their stories. And I thought the late Doran Miller did a sterling job with the interviews as well. So all in all, just to bring it to the fore, I was able to take notes, and I know now I can get some good stories, some good old time stories together because of this show. So, Mr. Banks, I give you 110% and A+. This is extraordinary. And I want to wish everyone a happy Advent and Merry Christmas when it comes and a prosperous 2019. Christmas, Cayman style. Thank you.
Well, Quincy, thank you very much. And when you're thinking about that, you might think that a lot of that production was done, over about 43, 44 years ago when the editing we had to do with a razor blade and a splicing block. Didn't have today's technology of digital and
cut and paste.
In myself. Well, cut and paste. It was the same process.
Literally,
I'd walk into the studio, and I'd work in the studio, and we would have pieces of tape. Some of them maybe 1 inch long, some of them might have been 2 inches long, some of them maybe 4 inches long, lined up down here to place in its right perspective within a conversation. And
literally cut and paste.
Well, you were cutting men. I guess, would be more appropriate.
Yep.
But in fact, when I was listening back to some of this, I thought to myself, how did we really do this and get this kind of quality?
You did a good job.
That we could listen to today.
Right. Well, Joel tells us, Mr. Loxley, we have another caller.
Well, let's take it.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good afternoon to you all there.
Yes, sir.
We'll take up time to part his name, but a wonderful program you're all doing there, and it's really wonderful that Mr. Doran did those recordings. I know your help, Loxley, and I think they were done in the 1980s, weren't they?
No, late 70s.
Late 70s. Yeah, I knew I was in my army then, but I can remember a lot of, even just up to, say, 45, 46 years ago, Christmas here was very, very different than it is now. The camaraderie, as they are just heard, the visiting friends and stuff like that, and family. Of course, the older ones, of course, we still do that. But I remember with the white standing of the yard, and also they just the simple little gifts that their children got. That they're like going out to Staffy shop. I can remember children the early 70s and 1970 and so forth. That was a big thing. And then they were all dressed up on Mr. Clive's waist and Millions there, and then Mr. Jimmy Powell and them in the year, and Lemmy used to have some big Christmas parties too. And that, of course, there's a later time, and those folks are talking about, but it's still a long time ago. And what happens was, of course, with 130 different nationalities, the type of Cayman Christmas that's really gone, and it mightn't interest them to even talk about these things. Many of the people here now, I guess, you can't really blame them. But I know you all are doing a good job to try to bring that back to us and keep that culture in our minds. It's so very, very important. But it's important that remember, of course, as that caller was saying, that remember what it's all about. The birth of Jesus Christ, Lord and Savior, who said by him, you can't, there no one goes to the Father except by me. Yes, Father in heaven, and his resurrection. No one else was resurrected, not Muhammad, nor Islam, nor Confucius, nor Buddha. They all died. That was the end of it. But we serve a living Christ. So I just like to wish you all a very blessed and peaceful and pleasant Christmas, and a happy one. And we know the sadness with many families and their sickness and so forth, and grief over those just passed away. But we like to just look at it with some hope, just hope, that hope, more than things, hope and faith. And I just like to say, blessed, peaceful Christmas to everyone and a merry one. And also, let us look forward to a new year with more unity amongst our people, more unity. Have a wonderful day, our listeners. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
God bless you. Have a Merry, Merry Christmas.
Oh.
When Quincy was talking, Quincy, I remember we used to have a caboose. I remember my cat used to go up into the caboose and have kittens in the caboose.
Not while you're using it, no?
Not while you're using it.
Warm place, you know, warm place.
Yes.
Yeah, but, you know, as I listened to the last call and one prior in particular, but the clips, the narratives, not just that we were thankful to being able to, you know, preserve them, but how much more are we losing? Not just the tradition, but the fact that, you know, the attempts to secure it.
Well, I think a lot of it is fallen by the wayside because the right approach, the right process is not in place to make sure that things that was recorded many years ago on reel-to-reel tape, you know, get digitalized, because that tape only lasts for a certain while, even in the best of conditions, and the oxide side of it starts turning to dust, and what you'll get is a lot of interruptions. You're not going to be able to make heads or tails of what's on there. And the thing that is so concerning is that I venture to say all of the Legislative Assembly recordings, and I think they started recording the Legislative Assembly back in the early 70s, I think. Might even been late 68. No, not 70s, excuse me. I'm wrong there. In the early 60s. And all of those tapes are stored somewhere, as far as I know, and they're just oxidizing and just being floated away in dust. And if they're not digitalized in the, I'd say, immediate, very near future, then all that stuff is going to be lost. You'll probably not be able to recreate or listen to what happened in the Legislative Assembly, or actually those days it was the vestry. The day that the assembly, that the governor at the time, I think, who was chairman of the assembly at the time, or the vestry, who wanted to conduct business with plywood over the windows in the town hall because of a little disturbance that was, I think, happening here in Cayman. And the legislators that got up and said, this is not going to happen in Cayman, not while I'm here. We will not have a meeting here in this hall today of this Cayman Islands Legislative Assembly unless that plywood comes off of the windows.
So people can see what's happening.
Yes. Now, that in itself is a very historic time in this country's development. It's democratic, it's political process. And if that goes by the wayside, I mean, we can only tell stories about it, but it would be nice to hear that actual.
That should be a priority to get those things secure.
It should be, but secure. I've often said that the right approach is not where it should be in places that it should be.
There's a lot of history here that's being lost. And Honorable Mayor Lawrence, she knows a lot of things. We have a lot of history. I learned a lot from her. Also, Dr. Steve McField.
Yes. Yes. Well, Doctor is a walking encyclopedia, and of course Roy doing a
Dr.
Roy doing a great job in trying to recreate some of that in a narrative or written style, which is it can be preserved. But Jason, you think that maybe you're 9 years old now? 10 years old. You think that when you get maybe 30 years old, you might like to go back and listen to some of the things that are happening in our society today?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Or even to hear yourself on the radio.
Hear yourself talking today.
Yes. Well, I think, we've just about come to the end of this program for today. We thank our listeners for tuning in and calling in. And we'll just got to get a little commercial activity out of the way here. And then we'll go out with the song Feliz Navidad, which is in English. What is that, Dr. Curtis?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Okay. But we'd like to remind you that this CI Retro Talk Today, Christmas Remembered special presentation was brought to you by Cayman Enterprise City. Cayman Enterprise City is pioneering a new type of special economic zone in the Cayman Islands, focused on technology and innovation. And also by FSH Designs. Let your imagination grow with FSH Designs Limited. Visit fshdesigns.com today, and by Four Winds Esso. And our thanks to our studio guests, Anika Connolly, who had to leave early, and our young folk here, Drayson DaCosta. Did you enjoy your time here with us today?
Yes, sir. I had a lot of fun.
And you got to sing on the radio.
Yes, sir.
And you enjoyed that?
Yes, sir. It felt comfortable.
Felt comfortable. There you go. I mean, that is...
He's giving us a smile of approval.
Yes, that is a great comment for young folks like that.
That's right.
Felt comfortable singing on radio, so someday you may become the great Caruso.
I love singing.
And, of course...
And he was doing his homework.
Yeah, and he's doing his homework. Well, there you go. Efficiency, use of time.
Yes, sir.
And
multitasking.
Yeah, Reverend Stanwick Miles. Reverend, good to have you
Pleasure to be here.
join us. Take time out and give us a little bit of the spiritual perspective.
And let me just say there's a whole lot more.
Yes.
A whole lot more that we didn't touch on today.
Oh, yes. And Dr. Curtis Barnett.
Thanks for inviting me. I'm happy to have shared and made a little contribution, I hope.
Yes, well, surely. And, of course, we'll end with your contribution of the accompaniment on what song are we going to sing?
Feliz
Navidad. Do you want to
course,
do that now? Or
yeah, Sterling will probably have some parting words, and then we'll do Feliz Navidad and go out.
Okay, that's parting words, then Feliz Navidad. Under the tutelage of Mr. Loxley Banks, I get to learn, laugh, but equally share the love. And to all of our listeners, as we celebrate Christmas and the meaning, the purpose, let's be reminded that it is family, together celebrating their churches and their communities, that we live, love, and laugh together, and let the food and fellowship be a part of the fun and joyful activities. But as we look at young Drayson, as we look at the young at hearts and the rest of us, we appreciate Cayman is a blessed, beautiful place, but it's for us to sacrifice and serve together. Feliz Navidad, or as others would say in other languages. Brother Curtis?
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Próspero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad, próspero año y felicidad. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas.
I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Próspero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Próspero año y felicidad. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas.
I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry
Christmas.
I've got that old feeling that seems to fill the year. It's Christmas in my Caribbean land. And although there's no snow or sleigh bells
This feeling's oh so grand. Now soon the bells will be ringing, choir singing in good cheer, and old forgotten friends are brought to mind. Oh, tell me I'm a feeling, why can't this Christmas feeling exist among all people through the year? I can wake up real early, bake me jug and me turkey. It's Christmas in my Caribbean land. I can drink up me sherry, I can drink and be merry. This feeling's oh so grand. I can invite me neighbors to stop by for a liquor, and old forgotten friends are brought to mind. Oh, tell me I'm a feeling, why can't this Christmas feeling exist among all people through the year?
Oh, tell me, why can't this Christmas feeling exist among all people through the years?
Matt Brown and Rita Estevanovich star in the Cayman Christmas Comedy Show. A gift from the CNCF to you. Yay! Christmas comedy show. I am excited.
Well, I don't want to see it.
Too bad. You're in it.
Me in a show?
It's the bestest, most festivus Christmas show ever. Coming to your district between December 11th to 16th. Visit Facebook/Cayman Culture for all the details. Yes, I am going. Definitely I am going.
Here is where tradition never dies. This is your radio, Cayman.
You know, Christmas means the same thing in most countries around the world. It's to celebrate the birth of Jesus. But now, as far as traditions go, every country has their own around the Christmas season. And believe it or not, even on our own little island we have Christmas traditions. I want to take the next few moments and tell all our visitors and residents these traditions, and to bring back some old memories to all Caymanians listening to this song. In the old days, months before Christmas, we always had our eyes on certain cows, and we would fatten them up, for the Christmas time was the one time a year our family ate beef. And that's the way it was for most families on the island. Not like today, where eating beef is done at least once a week. And can you remember how about 3 or 4 weeks before Christmas, we would take an old thatch basket and go down to the beach and start hauling sand in the yard? Why, I used to dig down a few feet to make sure I got the whitest sand possible. Then we'd get some nice-looking conch shells to border our yard with. And when we were through raking, we thought we had the best-looking yard on the island. But then everyone thought their yard looked the prettiest. Now, when you knew it was Christmas season is when you smelled the sweet aroma of apples. And as a little boy, I always liked hanging around the shops and watching people pick up their Christmas supplies, like ribbons, lots of material to sew a new dress or shirt, and of course all the things for Christmas cooking, like a lot of sugar. Why, back then you could get a pound of sugar for a penny. Those were the days. And I remember how about the 23rd of December or so, my daddy would usually be busy painting their house with a mixture of lime and water, and I would be busy helping my uncle butcher the cow. And then the Christmas cooking began. We'd have roast beef, rice and beans, breadfruit, cassava, poke, and my favorite pot cakes, or like some of the old folks used to call them, heavy cakes. Why, there ain't a chef in the whole world who wouldn't lay down his tools if he could taste some of the meals we had at Christmas time. And my little brothers, they were always busy rounding up some of Grandma's old stockings to hang up in hopes that it would be full of surprises on Christmas morning. But even with all the going on, we always knew what Christmas was all about. And Christmas morning, we had our Sunday's best on, and the whole family was in church, singing Christmas carols and wishing each and every one a joyous holiday greeting. By the time we reached home from church, we were ready to fill our bellies, and I'll tell you, it took only a short time to stuff ourselves with the food that has taken days of preparation. And as the Christmas days rolled on, Grandpa, he'd get his old dusty fiddle and start playing some of the 3 songs he knew. People would pick on him and asked him if he'd ever planned on learning a new tune. But he didn't pay him no mind. He just kept on playing away. And before you knew it, we had a kitchen dance going on. Some of the neighbors, all the kids, grandma, everyone dancing in a kitchen that normally could hold no more than 3 or 4 people. Most everyone seemed to have a little bottle of rum in the house around Christmas time. And it was amazing how all those people got feeling good in one small bottle. But this wasn't only happening at our house. All over the island, people were doing the same thing. All kinds of visitors would drop in all day long. Even the ones you haven't been getting along with would greet you with a friendly smile during the holiday seasons. Well, really, there's so much more to tell, but it would take up the whole side of this album. And even though our traditions are different from others, and as a lot of visitors always ask, how can you have Christmas without all the snow to brighten things up? Well, I just tell them that the sunshine and our spirits do the same thing for us. But that doesn't really matter. For as long as we know the real true meaning of Christmas, that's what's important. So no matter where you are or how you spend your holiday seasons from us here in the Cayman Islands, have a Merry, Merry Christmas.
Bells are ringing over land and sea. You can hear them ringing, oh so merrily. You can hear the children playing in their glee. Christmas bells are ringing for you and me. Oh, I wish you a merry, merry Christmas. With all its trimmings to go, I hope we don't have no blue Christmas, although we don't have any snow. red-nosed reindeer dancing in his glee. Santa Claus is coming, bringing gifts for you and me. You can always hear him shouting while dancing in his glee. Christmas bells are ringing, ringing for you and me. Oh, wish you a merry, merry although we don't have any
You're invited to the opening of the Coat of Arms exhibition on Saturday, the 15th of December from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Cayman Islands National Museum on the waterfront. Come out to celebrate Cayman and 60 years of our Coat of Arms with local food, traditional crafts, festive fun, and entertainment. Show your Caymanian pride and help us to commemorate this milestone with this historic exhibition. Saturday, the 15th of December, starting at 10 a.m. Visit celebratecayman.ky for more information.
Attention, please. Hi, this is Paulette, Deputy Director at Radio Cayman. From my family to yours, I just want to say, may lovely, happy times decorate your holiday season. May warm, special memories brighten your new year. May the wonder of Christmas be with you forever. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
everybody spread them about, for it's Christmas time and it brings